in what is a pretty big rebuke to Governor Ron DeSantis and the Republican Party's war on transgender Americans, specifically children, a federal judge has put a temporary stop to Florida's ban on gender-affirming care for trans youth. So this is fantastic. Judge Robert Hinkle, who serves in the United States District Court for the Northern District of Florida, just delivered a scathing 44-page ruling against Florida's SB 254, as well as the Florida Medical Board's prohibition on gender-affirming care for both minors. And by the way, SB 254 had extended that to banning it for adults as well. So now let's get to some of the best parts. He wrote this. Simply, quote, "The elephant in the room should be noted at the outset. Gender identity is real. The record makes this clear." Simple as that. The overwhelming weight of the medical authority, he notes, supports treatment of transgender patients with GnRH agonists and crossed-sex hormones in appropriate circumstances. So now the state of Florida actually made the argument that, all those medical associations that are always quoted as supporting, gender-affirming care, they're just biased. Do you have any evidence of bias? I mean, I know reality tends to have sometimes a left-leaning bias, but where's the evidence that this is they and that in fact there is no that gender-affirming care not good? Well, where is it? They don't have it. And so they made it up. In fact, the state made the argument, again, that these medical associations are biased and then used data from a biased organization. I'm not kidding. As Erin Reed notes in her Substack, Florida tapped doctors from something called the American College of Pediatrics, which is not a real college. It's actually a fake science organization that debunk gay conversion therapy. Again, gay conversion therapy proven not to work. In fact, one of the founders of gay conversion therapy came out as gay. And it was like, oh yeah, this whole thing doesn't work. No, it doesn't work. No, not at all. Yeah, okay. There you go. So now, court documents showed that doctors from the American College of Pediatricians also had manipulated research findings so that the state of Florida could arrive at the final conclusion of ban gender-affirming care. Well, there it is. Now, Judge Hinkle wrote, quote, "If ever a pot called a kettle black, it is here." Now, he also pointed out several examples of discriminatory intent among lawmakers who passed the bill. So this is a Florida lawmaker going on the record, and here's what he said. This is Republican Representative Webster Barnaby, who earlier this year, again, in promoting this ban on gender-affirming care, referred to transgender people as, quote-unquote, demons, mutants, and imps. Yeah, that would seem to be that you have a very negative opinion of trans people. I mean, so your intent in banning gender-affirming care for trans youth and later on trans adults seems to be driven by your hatred of trans people. I guess it's just it's one of those things where,
oh my God, he admitted.
Yeah. Gee. But there's more. Oh, by the way, demons, mutants, and imps. Oh my. Wow. Okay. Now, Hinkle then also dove into the detransition argument, pointing out that Florida couldn't even find a detransitioner to testify in this case. He writes, "Regret is rare indeed. The defendants have offered no evidence of any Florida resident who regrets being treated with GnRH agonists or cross-sex hormones. Oh, wait, you couldn't find a single person, a single detransitioner? Yeah, that's because, first of all, there's a pretty small amount of people who are even identify as transgender in this country, and an even more minuscule amount of people who detransition. And of course, the reasons for this very rare detransition, for the people that actually do choose to transition, I think the 0.1 or 1% of all people who actually do transition, they do so because of bullying and abuse that they received for transitioning. Social, societal pressure, family pressure. So bigotry, essentially. No wonder Florida couldn't find a single person to support their detransition argument that actually detransition. Judge Hinkle also pointed to recent studies showing a 98% persistence rate among transgender youth, saying that, of course, once they make the decision to transition, they continue to transition, and they are happy to transition. Yeah. Now, there's another Republican argument that they love to make against trans people is, parents' rights. So now, normally, Republicans are parents' rights. Parents have ultimate fundamental rights over their children, and we need to have the parents go and into the classrooms and take control of what the children are learning. Parents' rights, except that, when it comes to supporting a trans child in Florida, if you do that, then they call you a child abuser and then threaten to take away your children, allowing the state to literally abduct your trans child. Oops. So much for parents' rights. Now, the judge asserted that by blocking parents from controlling their children's medical care, the government of Florida has violated their rights as parents. And because the state showed no rational basis to ban gender-affirming care, the law is unconstitutional under the rights of due process. So literally unconstitutional. Yeah. Now, the best part goes back to this statement, where basically it's a challenge. Quote, any proponent of the challenge statute and rules should put up or shut up. Do you acknowledge that there are individuals with actual gender identities opposite their natal sex, or do you not? Adding, dog whistles ought not to be tolerated. I love it because saying, since gender identity exists, if you discriminate against them by banning medical care that they need, using methods, of course, that have been used by cisgender Americans, including children, for decades, then you are violating transgender people's constitutional rights. And that's what it comes down to. That there's no trans agenda. Okay? What there is civil rights. That's all this is. This is a fight to ensure transgender people have civil rights. It's just that simple. Okay? And look, the right wing finally, Florida specifically, but transphobes and all over the country, they're not doing this to protect the children. They don't care about the children. This doesn't protect children at all. It doesn't protect cis children, because obviously you cannot trans a cis child. That is not something that you can do. And what it actually does is harm trans children by increasing the likelihood that they will harm themselves or commit suicide. That's the reality of the situation. If you care about children, if you care about protecting children, you would protect trans children. Cis children are not in danger here. They're far more in danger of being involved in a school shooting or dealing with the effects as they continue to grow up of runaway climate change, pollution. That's the reality. But of course, none of this matters. Reality does not matter to Ron DeSantis, who is again using bigotry and ignorance as a way to avoid doing anything that is going to help make people's lives materially better. And of course, to amass for himself more personal power and propel his bid to become president.